All right, we are now live, basically in HD around the world for the next episode of Office Hours. I'm really so excited. So I'm going to make sure that we give a moment whenever we start every show. We're going to give a moment for everybody to filter in and to make sure that they can find us. So we'll wait for that because I see we don't have any viewers just yet. It's 7 o'clock on the button because I like to do everything right on time.
Yes.
So we'll give a few minutes for everybody to kind of join us and get in there. I'm going to tweet out the link one more time.
Yeah, I'm doing that too.
All right. All right, folks, so welcome to Office Hours episode 5. This one is going to be a big one because in Office Hours episode 5, we're really going to bring you some stuff that I just cannot wait to share with you. And if you looked at the title, if you looked at our marketing, if you looked at the stuff that we said that this episode is going to be called The Do's and the Don'ts for new real estate agents. And since so many folks come in and out of our programs here, and so many of you go out into the wild and you have so many different experiences. Look, when you get into a new industry, you're going to have experiences. And so one of the things I want to help you do is to learn from some experiences that we know that you can avoid with just a little bit of knowledge and taking the time to watch a show like this. And so when it comes to do's and don'ts, we want to make sure that you understand as a brand new agent, when you just start a business, there's certain things you just want to absolutely make sure that you avoid. And there's certain things on the other end you absolutely want to make sure that you do. And so without further ado, real quick, if you've never attended an Office Hours episode before, first of all, let me welcome you to my wonderful office here. The Office Hours show is named for just as it sounds. As you can see, it's a casual way for real people that really care about real estate to be able to share with you stuff that really matters. And so what I want to highly encourage you to do is if you've never attended a show before, make sure that you give us and bring us your questions, because one of the most beautiful things about Office Hours is the second half of the show is Q&A. We are going to answer your questions live on the air. So the best way you can do that is to tweet your question using the hashtag Office Hours. You can email your question to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com, or if you're on the Facebook event page, you can post your question there. So as we go, if you've got questions, put them out there, and we're going to make sure to answer them. So before I get into the opening rant segment, real quick, I just want to introduce that we have a guest on today's show. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to bring on, number one, a guest of this magnitude, but somebody that's on the same plane right here. And the more we talk about, the more we realize, man, we got so much stuff that we need the marketplace to know. So, Joe, go ahead and say hello to the Office Hours audience.
Hey, everybody. Really excited to be here today with you all. Thanks so much, Chris, for having me.
Oh, no, dude, that's great. Listen, real quick, let me introduce Joe, and then we'll get into the show. Joe Boudreau is the team leader at Keller Williams Bayou Partners. He's also got his own team, the Joe Boudreau Group, and he's the head agent. And if that's not enough, he's also an entrepreneur with other business interests, such as the frozen yogurt business, and I'll let him tell you more about that. But one of the reasons me and Joe have a lot to share with you is because real estate is a business, and it takes an entrepreneurial mindset to make your real estate business go. So I couldn't think of a whole lot of people better than an entrepreneur like Joe to help share with you some of his do's and don'ts and to help him from the front line be able to provide some value. So Joe, I can't wait for you to be able to share with what you've got. So hang in there for just a minute. We're going to do the opening rant segment, and then, man, the floor is going to be yours. You excited? You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. So the opening segment tonight, guys, we're going to call it the opening rant. And the opening rant is really going to be my way to share with you the main message of today's program, which is the do's and the don'ts for new agents. But guys, really, this could be all agents. You could have been in the business for 15 years. You've probably done very well, but there's still some things that I see out there in the marketplace that really freak me out. And I'm like, man, they're just stepping on their own toes. So when it comes to being a new agent, One of the biggest themes that I love to share, and I want every one of you guys to know, is that you're going to have your first deal. You're going to have your first listing appointment. You're going to have your first open house, your first contract, your first client, if you will. But what I want you to understand is that from day one, the only person that's most important to take you seriously is you. And one of the biggest things that I see, especially from new agents, is they marginalize themselves. And when you marginalize yourself, you're marginalizing your new real estate business. So as an example, guys, every agent out there, think of the biggest, the mega agent in your marketplace, the one that's on the buses, gets the awards. I mean, like, they're the one. Well, guys, they had their new career at one time. They just got started at one time. So don't let just getting started ever be the reason that you're not going to make it to where you go. So actually, when it comes to new agents, what I have is what I call tanking talk. And tanking talk is the types of things that new agents tell themselves and tell others that's really tanking their new real estate business before it starts, and it's totally unnecessary. So let me give you 3 phrases. If you're a new agent, as part of the don'ts, these are 3 things you should never say, not to a client, to a customer, but not even yourself, because what you say to yourself is going to end up being what you become. So what I want you guys to, first of all, eliminate, starting now, is ever saying, well, I'm new. Or telling a client or a customer, I don't know what I'm doing because I just started, or I'm new. Eliminate that. I'm going to tell you something, guys. You're going to know and you're going to do better with these clients and these customers. You're going to be more prepared than you give yourself credit for. And honestly, you walk into your first listing, let's just say it's your first ever listing and you're going into that house, that seller is probably not going to ask you, are you new, like you're so afraid that they are. Because if you go in prepared, you go in with a mission, you go in with a plan, you act professional, and you are professional, you'd be amazed. That seller is not going to ask you the golden question. You're so scared. Well, are you new? And then you melt down and start crying and sweating, and you can't, I don't want to lie. He said, guys, it's okay. Everybody's got to be new. But remember, you're selling not only yourself, but also the way you're going to sell somebody else's house. So if you've got the guts to go in there and you've got the guts to prepare and you look like you're serious, the I'm new thing doesn't even matter, because they're hiring somebody that's got the personality traits of somebody they want to sell their house. So if they see that you're going to do whatever it takes, the new thing is off the table. And actually, Joe, I can't wait to hear you respond on this, because I'm big on when you're sitting there with a client talking about them and what you're going to do for them, and not how great you are at everything that you do and all of yours. I mean, clients just, people think that they care, but they don't. So hang in there, Joe. I know you're probably dying to respond to that one. Number 2 in my tanking talk is a don't as a new agent, is to tell someone, well, I'm doing this part-time. Guys, it's okay if you are, and you could certainly succeed and build your business part-time, but don't tell people that. Do not tell your client that. As far as they know, you're working 80 hours a week, busting your tail to build your real estate business, because when I hear part-time, well, that means you're going to be selling my house part-time. And that's not what I want to hear. I mean, do you want a part-time airline pilot? Do you want a part-time heart surgeon? No way, man. I want somebody that's as experienced as possible, at least takes it serious. If I'm about to get on a jumbo jet and fly around the world, I don't want the pilot to tell me, yeah, just do this on the side. What? You fly jumbo jets on the side? So what I want you guys to understand is it's okay if you're doing it part-time because you're just starting out. The realities of a sales business, of course, is that it's going to take a while possibly to build it, to get to those closings, to start bringing in the income. But as far as that consumer's concerned, that client, you're all in, man. And that's all they need to know. And then the last one is related to that. But don't ever tell people, I'm just doing real estate on the side. Or I just wanted to do real estate on the side. It's a side venture. It's the same kind of thing. What is that other person hearing? Oh, well, he just got his license, see if he can make some money on the side. Like, he wants easy money. He wants this or that. I'm not sure if he's serious. So it goes back to the beginning. you got to take yourself seriously for other people to take you seriously. And so what you tell yourself is what you are going to become. I mean, let's just think about me just as an instructor and a trainer. Guys, I had my first class. I mean, I had to walk into a class one time, and it was the first class I'd ever taught. And, you know, I had all the same feelings and emotions and nerves that you would have. But guess what? My mission, and I'll never forget it before that first class, was I'm going to know more about this topic than any person in that room squared. In other words, I was so afraid of every question, or I was so afraid of being put on the spot, that I prepared to the point where I probably looked like I'd been doing this for 10 years, but because I gave my time and my effort to preparation. If you do the same thing before you go meet with a client, if you do the same thing before you go talk to customers, before you interact in the marketplace, they're going to take you seriously too. Because one of the biggest issues I want you to realize is people out there, if they're meeting you and they have a real estate need and they may hire you, guys, they're not looking to go interview 15 real estate agents. They don't want to do that. So as long as you don't totally tank it with them, you're probably going to get a shot. So take yourself seriously, make them think you're all in, and make sure that they understand that you're not doing this part-time, even if you are. The key is it's not lying. It's just don't marginalize yourself and the business that you're going to do for those people, because let's never forget the importance of what we're doing. I don't want to be romantic about how we make our money, but I do want to point out for most people, that purchase of that house is the largest financial investment they're going to make in their lifetime. What we do here does matter. And so at the end of the day, what they really want is you to care. They want your effort. They want you to care. They don't care if your name's on the side of a bus yet. They just don't, because that person on the side of the bus may not answer the phone when they call, may not care like you will. So don't worry if you're new. Just make sure you take yourself seriously, and your clients and customers will take you seriously too. So that's kind of my opening rant as far as the don'ts. Joe, I'm putting you back on the spot, man. What do you think? You want to add anything to that? Because like I said, it's called a rant because I could do this all day.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, how can you follow that up? You know, not saying that you're new is not lying to the client. Certainly, you know, there's a phrase called confidence is sexy, and it's true. Just walking into that listing appointment, walking into that buyer's consultation, knowing that you've passed real estate school, that you've passed your test to be a real estate agent.
That's right.
And knowing that you've interviewed with your broker, and knowing that you've probably done a good bit of research before. You also have all the tools and all the mentorship of the people at your brokerage, and you walk into that listing appointment, you walk into that buyer's consultation, you own it. And you know, you make it about them. You make it about the marketing plan that you've done for your clients. You make it about the result. You bring your numbers. You do that, you'll win that appointment 9 times out of 10. Exactly.
You know, it's a big thing that I say, Joe. It's a theme that I really bring home, especially as part of my Superstars 2.0 course, and whenever I'm coaching or training anybody, and it's that effort always wins.
Yes.
And I really believe in that. I mean, I don't think people understand if you outwork the other guy or just care a little bit more, you're going to do fine. Because that other person, this top agent that you're afraid that you're going to lose business to, well, they may be resting on their laurels and doing things the way they've always done. And what I want you guys to understand is that if you put the effort in, the clients 9 times out of 10 are going to respect that alone. I mean, you'd be amazed how often that pays dividends just in any business. What's being lost out there is just the concept of putting the effort in. You know, if I'm working part-time, but I come in and I've got a better listing presentation prepared and I've practiced it and I'm ready to go more than a quote-unquote full-time agent, you're hiring me. You don't know I'm part-time, but I came in better prepared than somebody that is full-time because I put the effort in. I managed my time, right? I mean, that's really kind of what it all boils down to. What you think, Joe?
Absolutely. Time, and like you said, it goes down to time management. You know, everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, but it's amazing how some people can get done in 4 hours what it takes a lot of people about 12 to 16 hours to do.
Right.
So even if you do have 4 hours a day to devote to your real estate career, doing that time blocking and be purposeful. you know, there's a phrase we say to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. That makes all the difference in the world right there. And relying on those systems, relying on your MLS, relying on the foundation that you build and that marketing plan. Always walk in and have a plan. That right there, you know, eliminate any wavering of confidence that they would have for you. And finding common ground with that client is it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, what you're saying is the easy stuff. It's all about dealing with people, right? You know, if I'm just starting to sell real estate, but I know how to deal with people, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to figure out what your problems are and try to help you solve them, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could be selling vacuum cleaners. I could be selling, you know, carpet. It doesn't matter what I'm selling, because the greatest thing about real estate is you're really selling yourself and your efforts, because you're not trying to get somebody something that they don't want. Like if somebody needs to sell their house, they need to sell their house. I don't have to talk you into this house. I'm not trying to tell you to sell your house when you don't want to. I'm trying to tell you, you already want to sell your house. Let me do it for you. And so you have a problem. Here's how I'm going to solve it. So when you're a new real estate agent, one of the biggest things is just do prepare, do take yourself seriously, do believe in yourself, and don't go in there and tank yourself and say that kind of stuff, or say that stuff to yourself, because you'd be amazed how untrue it probably is and how much you can probably do for that other person. It's really pretty amazing. So look, when it comes to the do's and the don'ts, Joe, share with us some don'ts. I mean, let's just go straight to like maybe even some lessons from you in the past, or something that, I mean, if I could share with new agents, like, don't do this, what's at the top of mind?
Oh, man. Wow. Don't underestimate the power of social media, Chris. One of the best
exactly.
One of the best classes that I sat in, you had taught, was on social media. And, you know, you can certainly see some do's and don'ts there. I mean, that's it. I mean, social media, can you be your best friend or your worst enemy?
You know, that's a good. Obviously, I got to stop you there. You know, first of all, thank you for the plug on the class. I mean, look, one of the reasons we have this is I'm always trying to bring the most up-to-date the stuff that real estate agents really need. And like we talked about all the time, the challenge for me is figuring out a way to get that, you know, for CE classes or whatever. And so actually something on my list is forget the CE classes, learn what you need to learn to make money, and the CE classes will come later, right? So you said something that's golden. Let's dive into that, you know, a little bit more specifically. When it comes to it can be your best friend or your worst enemy, I think one of the things that I see when it comes to new real estate agents and on the worst enemy category is actually not what a lot of people think. It's that I call them secret agents. They're like invisible. So you're doing it so part-time, you don't even tell people you sell real estate on Facebook. Well, how in the world am I going to take you seriously, or are you going to find business if you're not letting the world know what you do for a living? And, you know, you transpose that with people that spam your feed about real estate 24 hours a day. That's not really good either, but I would rather see you err on that side. At least you're building a presence, than the side where you're a top secret agent and nobody's going to use you because they don't even know you exist. Right? I mean, it's crazy.
Be afraid of who you are and what you do. People want to know. People like to help other people. So when you reach out to others and say, listen, I'm in the real estate business. I'm really excited about it. And my big why, the reason I got into this real estate business is to help people achieve the American dream, and help people buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And how can I help you? Or who do you know that I can help? People want to be that lightning rod. People want to be that person that says, well, you know what, I'm going to help you. My aunt, my uncle, my cousin, somebody told me to look and want to buy some duplexes or some fourplexes or whatever. And they want to be that connector. Allow other people to be the connector for you. And I mean, that's the value right there.
That sounds like a really good do, as far as I'm concerned, asking people for their business. You know, those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, welcome to the stream. I don't think you'll be able to hear my guest, Joe, on Facebook Live, but hang in there. I'm going to make sure that you know what we're talking about. It's all about the do's and the don'ts as new real estate agents, and we're just bringing it real here. So yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. And one of my favorite quotes, people talk about social media and all that all the time. And really, I think the best way to describe it is it's like the next industrial revolution, in that if you have a game plan and take yourself seriously and really work at it, when it comes to this stuff, you can market at scale for virtually nothing. I mean, right now, I'm broadcasting this across the universe from Facebook and YouTube, and it costs me zero, gang. I mean, this costs me nothing. I mean, they're not charging me for this. Think about this, how long technology took to get to this point, and now I can do it for free. So when it comes to social, I guess, Joe, what I would say is make sure you're there and make sure you have a plan. Don't just be hanging around and think that Facebook and all of that is for your private life, man. You're now a brand, and you're a brand 24 hours a day, right? People are going to do business with you because they like you. That's really the biggest thing that I think people forget.
Michael Jordan never made a shoe, has he?
What's that?
Michael Jordan probably never made a shoe, has he?
No, I don't think he's made a whole lot of shoes.
Yeah, so
he sold a few, though.
He sold a lot because he's the brand.
That's right.
I have on here a don't, Chris, it kind of ties into it. Don't sell a product, sell yourself. Yeah. You're not selling houses. You're selling your value to get people from contract to close. On social media, people don't want to be flooded with a bunch of listings. They flood with some information. They want to be flooded with ways that you can help them, not just a listing that they may or may not care about. It's good to do that. Certainly, that's a value to have for your clients. But like you said, you're the brand. People want to trust that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, when it comes down to it, sales is sales. Sales is about trust. Sales is a people industry. And so even if you're brand new, if you tell one of your good friends that needs to buy or sell a house, and you tell them, look, I'm taking this 1,000% seriously. I just went through all of the training. I'd love to work with you. I'll do everything I can. There's very few people on this earth that are going to tell you no. Or I'm going to go use this other agent that somebody told me to. No, they know you. They're going to use you. They're going to work with you because it's a personal thing. Everything else, the skills, we can build that skill set. But we're talking about when you're new, things to do and things not to do. And so, a lot of these are right back to the beginning. We're talking about taking yourself seriously. And, I've got one on here. I think that's really pretty important. Now, talk about this, but guys, I'm gonna bring it again. If you've seen and talked to me before, I go into this quite significantly, and that is when you're new, do seek as much knowledge and get as much training and take as many classes on real practical stuff as you can. And don't think that when you get out of school, or if you completed your minimum, continuing ed requirements, that you know what you need to know to succeed at a high level. I own a real estate training company. I mean, a pre-licensing school, continuing education. And I'm here to tell you the regulators, the CE credit, that serves an important purpose. But guys, that is not it. And so one of the disappointing things I think that happens to a lot of people is, real estate school is not easy. And so they work really hard. They study really hard. It takes a couple of months. They go past the exam and they're like, whew, like a big sigh of relief. And the way I look at it is it's like a sigh of relief before the next race. Now you got to get in there. It's a race for knowledge, and you got to really learn. I mean, the stuff that we're talking about on this show is more valuable than a whole lot of CE. And I'm going to tell you that honestly. So get out of this mindset of everything has to have credit and I need my minimum requirements. Start learning what you really need to know to succeed. That's a do in this business, because your competition is not doing that. And so even if you're brand new, you could walk right into the door and have a higher level of expertise than somebody that's been doing it in a while. They may have the experience, but you've got the knowledge, because they're not seeking anything that they're not going to get boring old CE credit for. And I think that's a big problem in this industry. And I'm encouraging you guys to learn the stuff you really need to know. CE credit be damned. So, I mean, that's just how I feel about it. What do you think?
No, I agree. Certainly we know that our state minimum is 12, but we have to be seekers of knowledge, not just minimum. I mean, who wants to be in a minimum relationship? Who wants to have minimum money? Who wants to have a minimum lifestyle? Yeah. And it's about the value, it goes back to it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 1,000%. I mean, in other words, if you want to make it in this business, like people watch us and they ask us and they email and they're always talking about like, I want to succeed. I want to do this. First of all, you touched on something about your why. Remember, success has a different definition for everybody. You know,
Right.
like
Absolutely.
if you made $50,000 a year, could cover your expenses, put your kids in private school, if that's a success to you guys, that's awesome. You know, like everybody doesn't have to make $1 million a year or even need that to be successful. But
Absolutely.
having that goal and that why is going to drive everything that you do. And so I think a big issue is people jump into the business and they forget, why is it that I'm here? What do I want to accomplish? That's going to drive your actions. And so, you know, you don't want to just be a dreamer. You need a goal, because that takes your dream and puts an expiration date on it. And so it's really important that you thinking in terms of your why, what you want to get out of your career. For everybody that's different, but it's all important, man. And I want to see everybody reach their potential. So a big part of what Office Hours is here to do, and a big part of what I'm here to do, is for those of you that are willing to put in the work and want to do what it takes, and you just can't seem to find a place or knowledge or tips on what to do. That's what we're here for, because this, you know, real estate's not a get rich kind of scheme, you know, get rich quick. I'm not having a seminar at the Hilton where it's free and then it's like $10 million for my seminar where I may or may not teach you anything. I want you to build a business that really lasts, that's sustainable, that begins to grow and really accomplishes whatever you want. And so it starts with getting rid of this stuff, these don'ts. And one of those is, you know, that bare minimum, that minimum type of thinking, I think has really gotten us in a lot of trouble. Look, it's not the regulators' fault, guys. Let's be honest. After the financial, you know, meltdown in 2008, regulators had to step in and really increase the educational requirements, prove that our industries mattered. They're doing what they have to do. But I'm here to tell you that's laws, that's rules, that's ethics, that's compliance. That's like the stay out of trouble stuff. The growing your business stuff, man, you know, who cares whether you get credit for it? Because if you're sitting in a class where we're teaching you this kind of stuff and your competition isn't, you win. I mean, that's all it is to it. Read a book. Right? I mean, Joe, what are some books that you've read recently that you read them because you just want to grow your business and improve your real estate business? Like, let's get an idea here. You didn't get EC credit for whatever book. Just name one.
Sure. The One Thing.
Yeah. That's one of my top 5 favorites. There's no doubt about it. Shout out to my friend Stan in Metairie, who actually brought it to me and gave it to me at my office as a gift. He said, Chris, I think you need this. And I couldn't be more thankful, Stan. I hope you see this. I tell people all the time, you gave me the gift of a book, and really it was the right book at the right time for me. So that's a great one. You know, and one of the things I would share is you did that and you read that book and because you want to grow your business and improve your life, right? I mean, it's like, it's not all about credits. It's not all about this and that. So it's all about knowledge. You know, they always say that knowledge is power, and it really matters in this type of business where you're an entrepreneur. If you have a better system and a better plan and better calls to action and better tools and all of that, you're going to win versus the folks that are just waiting for somebody to put it in their lap. Right, Joe? I mean,
that's it.
The way it is. Man, what a great call on that book. You want to share with, I guess, the audience, The One Thing by, I believe, Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. It's a great book about really kind of determining your why and what you got to do to get there, right? And really scaling it down to the art of doing one thing, really important every day. So, Joe, like, what's the big lesson you took out of that book? I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, you know, time blocking, understanding that, you know, working more and working harder doesn't necessarily produce a better result. You know, the big question in the book of The One Thing, it simply says that what's the one thing that you can do right now that by doing it can make all other things easier or unnecessary. Mm-hmm. It's about taking what we've always, this thing we call life balance, which there's no such thing as balance. It's always a movement back and forth between the center. It's taking that and understanding it and compartmentalizing your day. I mean, you take a to-do list and turn it into a to-done list. Yep. There are so many things on our to-do list that really aren't necessary, that we can leverage them out to some other people. I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that I did, Chris, was after I read that book, and I've been an owner of that book for 2 years now. I finally spent some time and finished it. I hired our first administrative assistant, and I have her now in coaching to be the best real estate administrative assistant. I would have never done that. I would continue to try to just work harder, to work, outsmart, and put more efforts into it, and realize that if I just leverage some things out, I can bring better value to my clients, a better value to our agents, better value to our brokerage and our community. Man, that's it. So I hired somebody after reading that.
Yeah, that's big. No, let me jump on that point, especially for new agents out there. Let me kind of bear it down. So in Joe's business, which is a growing real estate team, where he's really getting to the point where, his time is becoming tougher and tougher and tougher, because when you're brand new, you're at the beginning of the cycle, you don't have any clients, you try to figure out how to get them, and this and that and the other. And then once you have a whole bunch of business, then it becomes a battle against yourself and your time, and how in the world am I going to do anything else? And so what I would share with you guys, especially if you're a new agent, it's a great book. And I see some questions coming in on Twitter. It's called The One Thing. It's that simple. You can get on Amazon or anywhere else. Easy to find. I'm a big fan of it, but I was already a huge fan of time blocking. And really what I want to emphasize there, if you're a new agent, you need to hear this. You need to spend virtually all of your working time prospecting and generating leads, working your tail off on building a database and contacting your database and building value and establishing yourself as a real estate agent, so that when the time comes that one of those people is going to buy or sell, or they know somebody that's going to buy or sell, that you're going to be the one that they refer, that they call. So if you want the one thing, read the book. It's a great book, but I'm telling you what it is. It's grow your business, which is build a database and contact that database and continually prospect and generate leads. So one of the biggest questions I get all the time from new agents, Joe, is, well, what do I do? Man, prospect and generate leads. Collect a list of every person you know and send them a letter asking them for their business, letting them know what you do, that you just started a business. What's the worst thing that can happen? Guys, you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You don't send that letter, you may not get a referral. You send that letter, you'd be amazed what may happen. Oh, my neighbor, or oh, I didn't know you were in real estate, or oh, this or that. So your one thing is that, and that takes time and it takes patience. You should be walking around and looking at human beings as potential clients and customers and trying to build relationships, because the key to real estate is patience, because it's not like a vacuum cleaner. I show up at Joe's door and we're talking about a vacuum cleaner. My job is to convince him his floor is disgusting and he needs my vacuum cleaner and he needs it now. This is a silly example, but everybody's not buying or selling their house right now. So that's why having a constant system where you're reaching out to these folks, because when their time of need comes, you'll be at top of mind. The biggest misconception out there is that everybody's got like this agent in their pocket. Most people don't. And the amount of people that use the same agent twice hovers around like 30-something%, the last statistics I saw. And most of the time, the reason is because they can't remember who they are. Think about that. They don't use you again, not because you did a bad job or anything else. They don't remember who you are. Guys, it's your job to stay at top of mind. So your one thing, don't even read the book before you start doing this. Prospect and generate leads 3 hours a day, every day. I mean, every single day. That's how you build a business. Because you keep doing it and you keep doing it, you will see results.
Because if you're not reaching out to your database, someone else is.
Exactly.
And Chris, you know, one of the things that new agents ask me, and I'm sure they ask you too, is well, how do you remember to touch base with everybody? I mean, what do you do? And social media and database management systems. I mean, you let technology be used for you. In your MLS, you've got auto emails that can send out when a client says, "I'm looking for such and such." And those clients talk to clients and they tell me, "Oh, this agent's always sending me stuff." And they're not sending you stuff. It's in the system. You're letting technology work for you. And
absolutely.
And your clients are going to follow you on social media. So make sure that when you do get a client, you go ahead and add them to your professional page, or say, "Hey, find me," or "I'll go find you." And that way they'll never lose touch with you. I mean, come on, man. What's the statistics? 93% of people are now log into their Facebook once a day or something. You probably know better than I do, but it's pretty up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so funny when guys, it's 2016. I should not have to sit here and explain to you the importance of social media and all of that. But here's the second thing I want to share. People, one of the excuses, so if this is a don't, that new people in like a business like real estate will tell themselves is, well, I don't want to be that guy that sends all those emails and clogs everybody's email stream or this and that and the other. And then my response is always, I want you to tell me the last thing you bought. What made you buy it? Or the last thing before that, what made you buy it? And if you really think about it, it was a commercial you saw, or an email you clicked on, or a coupon you got in the mail. That stuff still works, so these advertisers wouldn't be doing it. And so It works on you, so it works on them. And what you need to understand is, if everybody's not reading it, and it's all about patience and understanding your audience, and understanding that what I'm trying to make sure that I do is stay in contact and offer value. So it's value, 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 right? This show right here, guys, all of you guys watching live, those of you watching on Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. And please make sure that you let us know if you're getting something out of it, or ask your questions. Twitter, #officehours. Jump on the email, officehours@donaldsoneducation.com, or get on the Facebook event page, post your question there. But this show alone is all about value and connecting with you guys, right? I'm not selling you anything. I'm spending my time trying to help get good, solid educational information out there that people can use. And if it pays benefits down the road, so be it. But really, for me, I just want to make sure that I'm out there and that people are understanding that when we want to talk about real estate business, this is where you want to go. When's the next show? This is what we're doing. It's not about, sell, 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 sell. So I think if your mindset is every time I send an email, I'm selling, well, then you may have trouble. But if every time you're sending an email or a postcard or something to your database is something of value, a helpful tip, here's what you do when summer turns to fall, that kind of stuff, you're offering something of value that they can use, right?
That's it. I mean, why does Coca-Cola continue to advertise?
Yeah, right.
How many
biggest brand in the world
haven't heard of Coca-Cola? Or why do toilet paper companies continue to advertise like people haven't heard of toilet paper? And it's funny, but it's true, Chris. It's top of mind awareness. It's brand awareness. It's not just product awareness. People know that realtors sell real estate or licensees sell real estate. It's brand awareness, being at the top of their mind. When you think real estate, you think you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's keep with the topic at hand. Joe, give me another don't. You're a new agent. Give me a don't and then contrast that with what you should do. Because you see it. You see it in your marketplace. You see it either at your brokerage or other brokerages. What do you see that new agents do that really is a don't, and you really would suggest they do something different?
Don't forget that people need you to be consistent and available, but they respect boundaries and they respect your time.
He's talking about respect for time. I'm going to go off on this one again.
Man, and that's it, Chris. I mean, you take a plant, and if you overwater a plant, it'll die. If you underwater a plant, it'll die, right? So the same thing goes with real estate. I mean, if you're always available, everybody's got your cell phone number. You tell people, I work 7 days a week. Call me anytime. That's it. Don't buy into the lie. Here's another don't. Don't buy into the lie, Chris, that you have to be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Oh, man, look, you're so right. That's one of the biggest mistakes I hear agents saying. I don't care how long you've been in business. You tell your client, I'm available 24/7. You contact me anytime. Well, that's impossible unless you're a robot. Because at minimum, you've got to sleep 7 or 8 hours a day. So don't give me this nonsense you're available immediately 24/7. You just told your first lie to your client. Most people are reasonable, right? So if you tell them, look, my office hours are from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m., and I'm Johnny on the spot, but after 8 p.m. is my family time. You've got kids, right? I've got kids, and here's what I've got to do. I want to take care of my kids and be a good father. There's not a client on earth that you want to work with that wouldn't understand that. That's a huge swath of time. And then between 8 and 6 is family time, and then boom, starting again 6 a.m. So if you tell your clients, I'm available 24/7, you're trying to make yourself sound eager and that you care. And so your heart's in the right place. And what you really want to tell them is, I'm available, you know, and tell them that here's how you can get in contact with me, and set expectations up front that are fair. And then you're going to be in a much better position. So yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I'm big on that. You know, this whole, you can contact me anytime 24/7. It's just impossible. Nobody can live to that standard, right? I mean,
Chris, there's a difference between McDonald's and Commander's Palace. You know, and they both serve food, you know,
Yeah.
and so, look, man, I mean that's it. And what we do, and what I coach my team to do, and what I coach any other agent to do is have that conversation with your client, at whether it's the buyer's consultation or whether it's the listing consultation. But you always tell them first. You don't simply say, well, my hours are this. You simply say, listen, I understand that you've got certain times where, you know, you don't want to be contacted unless there's some type of emergency. Let's talk about boundaries. Let's talk about your family time. Let's talk about the days when you're ready to go. What's the earliest you'd like to be contacted, the latest, what days on the weekends. And then you set their boundaries, and you say, listen, I respect that and I appreciate that. Let me just kind of tell you a little bit about me. You know, for instance, you know, if we were in this buyer's consultation, I would say, you know, I've got 3 great kids and a beautiful wife. And Sundays are family days. They're important for us. We go to church together, and then after we go, and I'll set aside a little time on Sundays to go ahead and contact you. But that's you know, that's my day for family. Is that okay with you? How many? And no one's ever said, no, Joe. I'm gonna go ahead and hire the person that's available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You just say, oh, that's great, and you know, show them pictures of your family, and you connect with them on that level. And you're a person, they're a person, and we understand that. This is not the ER. We're not ER doctors. We're realtors providing a service, and there's a time and a place for communication. So.
Well, yeah, sure. But the biggest key there is, you're absolutely right. It's setting expectations, being honest, and letting both parties know what page you're on up front. Because look, I'm an early guy. Like, my day starts usually around 5 a.m. I'm in the gym really early. Look, I'm ready to go. Like, that's when I'm at my highest peak energy for the day. I know my clients and my customers and my employees don't want me calling them at 5:30 in the morning, right? But I'm ready to go. That's my schedule. So I understand that that's, you know, it's an unreasonable type of thing. So I think that's a great point. Be honest with people, set expectations. And, you know, as long as it's not, let's go back to the beginning. Well, I'm at my regular job from 9 to 5, so I can't talk to you then. No, that's not what we're saying. You know, that's not it. But just make sure that, you know, you're reasonable, and that you're not waking up at all hours of the day every single time. Because what clients are going to do is they're going to text and call and do all of this madness at all hours because they see a house on Zillow at 3 in the morning, and they want your opinion on it. They fire it off without even thinking. But look, if I get back to them at 7 a.m. and they did that 3 in the morning, you know, they're going to be fine. You know, I shouldn't have to have an alarm set up. Well, my client saw a listing. I need to wake up. You're going to die. You're going to be miserable. You're going to be the meanest person on earth, because you're never going to get any sleep, and you're never going to be able to meet those expectations. So, Joe, I think that's a really good one. So, look, my last one I really want to point out, and then we're going to open the floor to Q&A. My big don't is to expect to be an overnight success, and my big do is to have patience. And I think that is just like so undervalued in every business. This could be real estate business or a tech startup or anything on earth. It's all about patience. You know, people want to just like snap their fingers and be where somebody else is, you know, because they saw them on TV or they saw this or that. Building a lasting business that matters takes time. And so you just got to have the patience to let it work out, because the statistics are real, gang. If, you know, 50% of agents don't make it to year 3, 80 to year 5. Woo. For those of you listening, that shouldn't freak you out. That should be like opportunity, man. So all I got to do is stay at it and out-survive these weak souls that don't want to do it, and you're going to do great. Because if you have the patience and you keep working, I mean, guys, when I taught my first class, nobody knew who I was. And then the next class, I had a few more people, and then a few more, and then a few more. And then I got to the point where I'm turning classes down because I don't have enough hours on earth to teach every opportunity that comes our way. And I'm so blessed for that because I put in the work. I mean, I taught days and nights and weekends for years and busted my tail. And so real estate agents, when you first start out, you got to have the same mindset. Don't be afraid to hustle, right? Hustle mode is on, but also understand when you're hustling what you're really doing. You're building a business that matters, and it's going to take some time, and you'll be amazed at the success you'll have if you just exercise just that hair of patience. Joe, anything to add to that one?
Man, it's just like the biblical parable about the man who built his house on the rock and the man who built his house on the sand. And you know, when the winds and the waves came, the man who built it on the sand, it collapsed and it fell. That's a metaphor for everything, especially in our business. Take the time to lay that foundation.
Right.
Make sure you go horizontal before you go vertical.
Exactly. And look, I mean, you know, if it was super, super, super easy and all you had to do was get your license and then you just start rolling around in money like, you know, Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales, that's way back, guys, in the cartoons. Look, let me tell you, that's not how it works. And it wouldn't be worth doing if it was that easy. Part of the joy, you got to find the joy is in the building of finding that client out of nowhere and turning it into a lifelong friend that's going to use and refer you for every real estate need they'll ever have. There is so much joy in that. You got to find the joy in the building. That you send out a marketing campaign, 500 people don't respond, but you get that one that turns into a client, that turns into a sale. It's like, I did that, right? I did that. And you got to really find that, success comes in the little victories along the way. And so just keep moving forward, and then don't be afraid to tweak things, right? If you see something's not working, tweak it, do something else. But if you constantly have effort and you constantly do the work, you're going to succeed in real estate, because at the end of the day, it's really not rocket science. It's really about effort. And everything else, all the other expertise comes along the way. Because if you've got a database and you're reaching out to them and you have a system and you're staying at top of mind, you are going to just blow your market away relative to your own expectations over those that just sit back and wait for it all to come to them. Is that fair?
Certainly.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Real quick, for any of you that are not familiar with what we're doing here, this is hashtag office hours. And so this part of the show, we're getting into my favorite part, which is the Q&A, or the live questions and answers. And so those of you that are watching both on Facebook and on YouTube Live, now's the time to bring your questions. It can be related to the topic at hand, the do's and don'ts for new real estate agents, or it can be anything real estate related. And me and Joe, for the next few minutes, are here to answer those questions. It can be anything. It can even be something that's on the real estate exam, since, you know, that's certainly a tool set that I have where I can help you. But what I want you guys to know is part of the fun of this show and why we do it live is so that you can bring your questions and ask us live on the air. So don't be shy. Now's the time. Get on Twitter, ask your question, and use the hashtag office hours. Send your question by email to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. And third, if you're on the RSVP page, the event page, post your question on the page and we can answer it. So, for instance, there was a question on the Facebook page about what was the name of the book that we talked about. Again, Joe, the name of the book was The One Thing. The One Thing. And so thank you for asking that question. That one is really easy. So before we get into everybody out there, Joe, how can I add some value for you? What's a question or a curiosity or something that you may have that maybe that I can share that might help your business out?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, Chris. You know, just yeah, no, it's good stuff. You know, we talked a little bit about it, but prohibiting burnout. And Chris, one of the things, you know, you and I were playing golf last year together, and you were telling me about how you found fitness, and how fitness really saved your life, and how, you know, a wealthy realtor is a healthy realtor, right?
Absolutely.
Can you just kind of tell me, because I mean, look, hey, I'm a father of 3, several businesses. I mean, I can certainly make all the excuses in the world why I don't have time to exercise like I should. My wife woke me up at 4:30. We had a 4:30 a date this morning with yoga, and I love her for it.
You beat me today. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that's something that I certainly struggle with, and finding that balance with that, you know.
That's a great question. Those of you on Facebook Live, he essentially said that, you know, what about fitness and how I'm a big believer in fitness creates high performers. And he said, you know, like so often, the number one thing I hear all the time from people that don't work out or aren't in good shape, it's the same phrase: I don't have time. Mm-hmm. Well, let me be honest with you. You don't have time not to, because you get one body. You get one. God gives you one. And if you don't take care of this one body, there's nothing else that can be done. And stress and feeling good about yourself, confidence, your energy level, that all comes from exercise and then, of course, diet. I mean, the science, of course, is out there. It's 2016. Everybody knows it. So here's what I'm going to tell you is that when you're looking at your priority tree and you're looking at all the things that you need to do every day, fitness has to be one of the top categories. Like fitness, family, business. I mean, it's got to be at the top. So when you say I don't have time, but then if I go look at your Netflix account, you've seen every episode of Game of Thrones, and you've seen them all twice, and you binged watched XYZ, like House of Cards this weekend, but then you're going to sit there and tell me you don't have time to work out? It's just, no, you're not making it a priority. And guys, it's not just like something cool to do. You have to do it for your brain. For me, the stress, anxiety, and just the overwhelming nature of building these businesses would take me over if I didn't have that outlet. So my day starts with that. I'm a big believer in that. Look, I tell people all the time, I'm an early morning workout guy, but look, in my early to mid-20s, this is true story, Joe. I don't know if I've ever told you this one. I set my alarm for 5:30 every day for a year and a half and never got up. I snoozed it every day. Snooze, snooze, snooze. And I was persistent. It was an automatic alarm on my phone every day, 5:30. I'm going to get up. And one day, thud. I just rolled out of bed and got up. And then the next day after that got a little easier and a little easier and a little easier. And now I'm up with no alarm and ready to go, because that's the best way to start a day. It makes me feel good. I don't feel 1,000% every day. Some days I'm sluggish, some days I'm not. But, man, I don't know what would happen to me if I did not do that on a daily basis, because business, being an entrepreneur, growing a company of any size, your real estate business will swallow you whole if you're not healthy enough to handle it. So you got to have the energy to succeed. And so, Joe, what I would say is when you're looking at your one thing and you're dividing up your time, it's got to be a priority, because everybody can find that 30 or 45 minutes a day. You can find it. It's in there. You know, that Netflix stuff, watch Netflix while you're on the treadmill, as an example. Or I'd rather see you reading the one thing while you're on the treadmill, as an example. You know, you can multitask to a degree if that's what it's going to take. But I don't have time is an excuse. And if you're making excuses about your fitness, what other excuses are you going to make to your clients, to your customers, to the people that you care about? You got to start being honest with yourself. Yeah. And for me, I got to be honest. Like, if I speak in front of 100 people like you've seen, Joe, I can't afford to be out of shape and lack energy. You know, my passion for what I do is real, but it starts at the beginning of the day. And I'll just kind of piggyback on that. This is just for me. I start my day with that stuff. I start my day with myself. Then I get on to like emails and everything else. I do not start my day by rolling out of bed checking email, because that's everybody else's problems. Wow. I got to get my mind right. I got to feel good. I got to be ready. And then I can take on the world because I'm ready to go. If my first thing I do is checking emails, I'm starting my day off with other people's priorities instead of my own.
That's the truth. Thank you, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But look, don't let Joe fool you. He's in good shape. All right. He's in good shape. He can't hit a golf ball worth a lick, but he's trying. He's trying. You know, but let me tell you, it's a part of every entrepreneur's routine. You look at any high achiever, you'll see that exercise is a part of their daily routine. It's not optional. You can't for your own well-being. So I'm glad you asked that, because I am passionate about it, because without it, who knows where I would be. The stress and all that stuff it will swallow you whole, man. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. All right, so I'm just looking at a few of the questions and where they're coming in. Let's see. All right, I've got one that comes up a lot. I got a question on the Facebook page, Joe, that says, can you recommend some verbiage for emails, listing your phone calls? So this goes right into the whole practice of using scripts. And here's my thought on scripts. I think scripts can be highly effective. And I think the reason it can be effective is learning common questions and how to respond to them and the key things you want to say. But I think scripts can be destructive if you're memorizing them, and then if the other person doesn't say exactly what you wanted them to say, so it's not right in the script, you're lost. So I think, it's a skill, and it's good to have scripts, to know what to say to people, but I don't want you to ever get beholden to where you sound like you're a robot when you're talking to somebody, or you get confused if they go off script. That's just kind of my thing, but I am a believer in them to a degree. Joe, what do you think about scripts?
Yeah. I mean, the best actors in the world, run off of scripts. But certainly the best actors in the world, the directors know that they can give them somewhat of a little leeway here with that, and really take the roles on themselves. But scripts are simply boundaries. Scripts are they're simply just a roadmap for what you want to do.
Sure.
They eliminate the need to have to make mistakes. They eliminate the need to have to just utilize years and years of experience making mistakes. Certainly we're big believers in scripts here in this office. We have binders of scripts, and we go over those, and we practice, and we role play. I think that's something that real estate agents need to do often.
Sure.
And they can make it from there. But if you take a good script, and you take a good foundation to put your attitude and your character into it, and you can own it from there. But absolutely, scripts 100%.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, like I said, I'm a big believer in them, but I think that's one of the most popular questions. I think it's part of the overall arsenal, but you don't want to be married to them. I feel like it goes right back to the new agent thing. It's like they're so afraid to say the wrong thing, they want me to tell them exactly what to say.
Yeah.
And I think, like, if me and you were to practice, I'm a seller and you're the agent, and the things that I'll ask you, scripts can be very, very powerful, but you've got to be able to think on your feet. So I think it's a nice mix. And I agree with you. I'm happy to hear that y'all use them. I'm sure they're very effective. I use scripts too. Don't get me wrong. In our Superstars 2.0 program, we go over scripts because the sellers, as you know, are going to ask the same questions all the time, and you got to know how to respond to them. But you got to be able to kind of bend with the conversation and be a person as well. So really, that's where the expert level talent is to be able to actually be speaking from a script, but you'd never know it because I'm ad-libbing as I go. That's where you kind of get to the upper echelon of sales, because I know what I want to say and I know where I want this conversation to go, and I'm hitting the key points and the taglines, but I'm not going to get completely thrown off ball if Joe asked me a question that I wasn't prepared for. Like, oh, I don't have a script for that.
Hey, I want to give a shout out real quick. I see Mark Crochet is watching this right now. Just notified me that you're on there. He's one of our agents here, man. Thanks,
awesome.
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. A little shout out. I love it.
That's it.
So, another question that comes up a lot, in regards to online presence and the things that we talked about, and Joe, I want to kick this to you because I just want to hear your opinion, because obviously, this is kind of something that I do a lot of work on and teach a lot of classes on. My question to you would be, what's an old school thing in real estate sales that you think still works today in 2016? So everything doesn't have to be technology and this and that. Tell me something old school that you use that works today in 2016.
Wow. Chris, I mean, how about a good old-fashioned good handshake and a look in the eye, and a smile? I mean, come on, man. That's it. My dad's been in sales, oh my God, for 40, 50 years. My dad said never underestimate the value of a good, firm handshake. and a smile, you know? And Chris, that's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think look at somebody in the eye, listening more than you talk, actually caring about what they're telling you goes 5,000 miles. And, you know, some of the smartest people I know that are terrible, and I wouldn't want them selling anything for me, is because they have all the answers and they can't wait to tell you, and you can't get a sentence out, and then they're just all over you, you know, because they're the smartest person in the room. Where if you want a great salesman, it could be Albert Einstein. The client is going to do most of the talking, because my job is to build trust and to figure out your problem and then show you how I'm going to solve it. It's not the other way around. You know, I've got all these things, you know, that I'm going to tell you about how great I am. You know, you need to listen to me. People at the end of the day want to be listened to, and they want people to solve their problems, right? I mean, so yeah, old school stuff really works. I'll jump one more in, and I'll tell you this, Joe. I'm a big believer in handwritten notes. I think in today's day and age, everybody that's watching right now, how many emails you got in your box? How many emails do you have in your inbox? One of the biggest complaints everybody's got is, I got 10,000 emails, I don't know what to do with them. Well, I'm a big believer, first of all, let's organize that. That's another show for another day. But then the second thing is, so how much mail do you get now? And have you noticed, even if you don't realize it, that you're probably reading letters and mail more than you used to? Statistics are starting to show that you are, because email is cluttered, your mailbox isn't. So if I write you a thank you note or something by hand, and it comes from me and it's a nice, clean little envelope, your clients are going to really look at that and appreciate it, because the art of the handwritten note is not dead. In fact, it's making a huge comeback. So sorry to my clients that I send notes to. My handwriting is a mess, but that's how you know I did it.
Chris, look, I'm sitting at my desk. I don't know if you guys can see this. Here's a handwritten note I kept. Here's another one that people sent to me. I kept. You know, you're right, man. I mean, you nailed it right there. The handwritten note. And I mean, what if you time blocked 10 minutes a day to just write some thank you notes out to people? I mean, how exciting is it when you go to the mailbox and you get a handwritten note? So, absolutely, man, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes you feel like somebody really cared about you to sit there. I mean, you know, when I get a thank you note and somebody took time to handwrite it, look, I've got them all put in a box. I mean, I care about those. That means a lot to me, because somebody took the time to do that. And it also reminds me of our mission, that whatever it is that I'm doing for a living actually has a greater impact. I'm not doing it only for the money. Yeah. And that's where I think a lot of people get lost also. So really good point. All right, a couple more questions, guys, and then we want to wrap up the show, because we don't want to go over our hour timeline too long. But guys, if you're liking the show right now, if this is your first time or you're a multi-time viewer, please make sure you leave us some love and let us know what you like about the show on Facebook or on Twitter. You know, make sure that you tell us that you're watching, make people aware of the show so that we can reach more people. But also, your love is what keeps us going. If nobody's watching, who are we talking to? The tree in the forest with nobody around. So thank you, guys. I've been watching the viewer count. It's been awesome. Thank you, guys, for sticking it out. I've got one more question here, and I'm going to make sure that I answer it. But Carolyn, this is a doozy. She said, well, what can I expect from a broker to help us? You know, in other words, what sort of input should we expect so that we can choose the right one? And Carolyn, here's my answer to that. My answer to that is, well, first of all, everybody's needs in a brokerage are going to be different. You know, what you might need in a real estate brokerage, or if I was going to find a broker, might be completely different. So it starts with what's important to you. It goes right back to the same questions. You got to know what you want answers to be able to understand what you want your broker to provide. So is it training? Do you want better commission splits? Do you want technology? Do you want this? Do you want the relationship with your manager? So there's so many different great brokerage models out there, and so many great companies. Joe can attest to this. He's obviously a team leader of a great company, but surely he can tell you there's other companies out there in the state and in the region that do great things as well. And so what you want to think about, Carolyn, is what's important to you. So then the second thing I will say is, as far as input your first year, so you sound like someone who's really concerned about making sure they have training and direction. And a couple of things I'll tell you about that. Number one, that's one of the reasons we're doing what we do here, here with office hours here at Donaldson, as a part of my mission, is to make sure, regardless of your training available or your brokerage, big, small, or in between, I want to have a place where you guys can learn the stuff you really need to know to succeed. So, Carolyn, I can't help but say that we'll be here for you regardless. But Joe, real quick, looking at the landscape, let's look at this kind of from 30,000 feet and look at the industry as a whole. If you were a new agent today and you're looking around, you, Joe Boudreaux, just got licensed in 2010, brand new, what would you want in a brokerage that matters to you?
Certainly reputation. Certainly communication. Does it feel right? What services do they offer for you? And look, I'm going to tell you this, Chris, and it's a little different coming from me, but it's like a ship that sets a course. Sometimes the ship has to reset themselves a little bit. So you want to make sure that you set yourself up to measure your productivity, measure your success, because at the end of the day, it's all a business relationship.
Right.
Just because you pick a broker that meets your needs right then and there, as you grow, you may find another one that suits your needs as well.
That's right.
So
yeah.
Just keep in mind always that you're an independent contractor, and that at the end of the day, you're the one to make that choice.
Absolutely. Look, I tell new folks all the time, if you have no idea, go interview with a couple. The right fit will make itself known. You'll know where you feel comfortable and what's right. And don't forget, at the end of the day, the only person you'll have to look at if your business doesn't succeed, you as a new real estate agent, is you. Because at the end of the day, you are a business. Remember, when you get your license, you just started a business. And so that matters more than anything else. Yeah. And with with technology and the tools and everything that's out there, there are brokerages that can do all sorts of different things in the formula to help you. But at the end of the day, the business fundamentals are what really matter. You got to work, you got to build a database, you got to prospect and generate leads, and then the rest will take care of itself. So, Carolyn, if you don't know where you want to go, just remember, you interview with a few that you're familiar with, and the right fit will make itself known. Any brokers out there, as you can see, guys, there's tons of agents out there or new folks that are out there and really are curious about where they want to go. And we kind of give them the same message because, Joe's company will find them or other companies will find them. And really what I want to make sure that everybody knows is that office hours and anything that we do, Chris Talks and Donaldson, is a safe place. And, because what you want, Carolyn, may be different than someone else. And I just want to see you succeed. That's what really matters to me. And so come up with the top 3 things that are important to you and interview the broker that you're meeting with and put them on the spot and say, this is what's important to me. How will your company meet that for me? And the right fit will make itself known. Joe, is that pretty fair? Don't be afraid to ask the potential broker questions on the other side, right?
Woo! Look, it's not an interview of you. You're interviewing them.
That's right.
100%.
Absolutely. Awesome. So to bring this show to a close, a couple of things. Number one, all of you guys, if you want to stay on top of office hours, this is the summer season. We're going to be here basically every Monday night except for July 4th with a new show, with a new topic, and a new guest. And so we're going to be bringing it every Monday night to start your week off the right way. So if you are new to office hours or you want to make sure not to miss one, make sure you go to this website. Go to DonaldsonEducation.com/office hours. It's that simple. DonaldsonEducation.com/office hours. And all you got to do is put your email in and say, I want to make sure I know when the next show is here. And just like I'm telling you, you will be on a list. We'll reach out to that list and we will add value to that list. And because I don't want you to miss a show, we've got a ton of great guests and a ton of great topics for you, answered probably so many of these questions that you have. So if you want to stay in contact with me, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, the Chris Talks. It's my personal YouTube channel. So this is where all office hours will be. In addition, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Talks Daily. You can find me on Snapchat at Chris Talks, Instagram, Chris Talks Daily. I mean, I'm really easy to find and really consistent. So To wrap it up, Joe, how can people get in contact with you? What's your favorite way for people to find you?
Man, same thing. Twitter at Joe Sold It. Find me on Facebook. Professional page, personal page. It's all the same to me. I just want to be friend and see what kind of value I can add to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, so let me take this moment before we close the show, and then I've got one more hot tip. So if those of you that hung on this long, I got one more thing for you. But Joe, let me just thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your schedule to share and to answer these questions and to rap with me here on Office Hours, because you're a busy man. You've got multiple businesses, a huge real estate business that you run. You've got a family with the cutest kids in the world, by the way. You've got a wonderful wife. You've got all that going on, and you found an hour of your time to give to our audience. So I want to just make sure I say thank you and that you know how much I appreciate that, because, again, it's all about priorities, and somehow, some way, you made this a priority, which means a lot to me. So what I really want to close with, guys, is one last thing. And the last thing is really simple, and that is, whether it's new school or old school, or whether it's technology or face-to-face, what I want you guys to remember is that real estate is still a sales business. And so what that means at the end of the day is that it's a people business. So what you want to remember is that you want to constantly be networking, meeting new people, and treating people with respect. In other words, be the person that you would want to do business with. Understand that now, if you're new to the real estate business, there's no Joe Boudreau on and Joe Boudreau off. Joe Boudreau is Joe Boudreau, and I'm going to choose to do business with him or not. So they can't be personal Joe and business Joe, and you are a brand. And so remember, everywhere you go are potential customers and clients, and everywhere you go is the potential to make people lose their wanting to do business with you because, you know, you're acting a fool, or you're being mean to others, or whatever the case may be. So you are now a brand. You now must be the type of person that others want to do business with. And so what I want to close is just with the same old thing. It's a people business, and people are going to sell real estate. They're going to buy real estate with an agent that cares about their needs. Everything else will come along with that. So, Joe, you got anything else to add before we close up the show?
Yeah, man. You know, right behind me, I've got two sayings right here on the wall. I know you can't see it, but it says, "The view only changes for the lead dog, so be the lead dog."
I love that, man. I love that. That's a great saying, and I think that's exactly right. When you're out in front of the pack, there's nobody leading you. You're in the right spot. If you're going with everybody else, you're in a bad, bad way. So thank you so much to Joe Boudreau. Thank you to everybody for watching. We'll see you next Monday night, 7 p.m., same place for the next episode of Office Hours.